Oh man, so we live on the Undisputed Goat Podcast on a special Tuesday edition. In the great words of someone famous, we going up on a Tuesday. We got your girl in the club and we Tuesday.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Yes, indeed, man. Shout out to Dwayne, man, my main man. Got to get him on the show pretty soon, man. But look, let's just get right into it. We had one hell of a day in the NFL at the trade deadline. We had one hell of a day at the trade deadline. So let's just get right into it, man. Look, we all know that America's team got busy on the day. They went and got not only Logan Wilson, which was kind of like a good, solid trade, but not the big blockbuster trade like Jerry Jones was hyping it up to be right before last night's Monday Night Football game. But then they went out and they got Quinn Williams, an all pro from the. We glad to have you, Dwayne. We went and got an all pro from the New York Jets, and it looks like the New York Jets are having a fire sale at this point. So let's just get right into it, man. Hey, Jerry Jones was active at the trade deadlines. What are your thoughts on Quinn Williams and Logan Wilson going and being a part of America's team at this point? BRF, you have the floor, brother.
Yes, sir. Always a pleasure being on here with you, brother Champ. Always a pleasure. I gotta say, I like the moves because it gives them more. It gives them more activity in the front seven. A guy like Logan Wilson, who's probably who's been like the unsung hero of the Cincinnati defense. What defense they do have in Cincinnati? He's led that team in tackles, I believe, 3 of the last 4 years. So he gives them he gives them a presence in the middle linebacker spot, being able to shot call, be able to get guys set up, put them in positions, gives them more of a voice at the middle linebacker spot. So I like the Logan Wilson acquisition. Quinn Williams is a top 3 to 5 defensive tackle in football. Let's just keep it 100. So him being on that line gives them more pass rush on the interior, as far as like the interior defensive lineman is concerned. You do have Kenny Clark, but I think he's been kind of hit the injury buzz, kind of hit him a little bit. So you kind of really have to you needed to address the depth. I would have loved to seen him get some edge rush because I think that's what they really needed more of anything because they still really don't have a lot of a pass rush. But Quinn Williams, if nothing else, does give you pass rush on the inside, but he is athletic enough. He can kick to the outside on certain plays, particularly if they want to run a 3-4 scheme. He can kick to the outside. He can rush the passer that way. He does give you a little bit of versatility. And like I said, he's one of the premier defensive tackles in football. He's an elite run stopper. So, both were definitely good acquisitions by the Dallas Cowboys. Like I said, I would have loved to see him get an edge, but at the same time, though, to get Logan Wilson, to get Quinn Williams, you can't be mad at it. You can't be mad at them for at least trying to improve that roster. So, shout out to Jerry Jones shout out to Jerry Jones. Shout out to the front office. If nothing else, I give them that they're trying, and like I said, those were two good moves by the Dallas Cowboys to be able to get Logan Wilson and Quinn Williams. I'm not mad at either play at all. It's just a matter of how they help as far as like give the defense a little relief in the coming weeks because we know how bad the Dallas Cowboys defense has been. One of, if not the worst defense of football. They've definitely been the worst as far as the passing game is concerned. Because Marvin Harrison's having a decent year, but he blew up last night. Let's just keep it real. Marvin Harrison took DeRon Bland and ate his breakfast, lunch, and dinner, drunk everything in the fridge, and walked out and left him bell. So Marvin Harrison he sunned him last night. So the Dallas Cowboys really needed some help in that front seven, and they did good today. It was good enough to get a Logan Wilson, but to swing it and get a Quinn Williams, I can't be mad at it at all. Granted, you lose some first round picks, but at the end of the day, we know the Dallas Cowboys are trying to win, no matter what their record is. It's like no matter where their record is or how delusional their fans are, they feel like they're always in a position to win, and that's what they're trying to do with their roster. So those were both good trades as far as like addressing the depth of that defense. Like I said, I would have loved to see them get some edge help, but those two moves, like as far as like what you could do, I'll take those. Those were two good moves.
Dwayne, I see your comment in the comments right now. We're going to come back to that a little bit later. We're going to come back to that a little bit later because I'm kind of glad that damn trade didn't happen. I'm just going to keep it all the way. I'm just going to keep it all the way a buck with you. But we're going to come back to that comment. Look, to add context to it, more context to it, right now, they have Quentin Williams out of the Micah Parsons trade. They have obtained Quentin Williams, Kenny Clark. They still have a first round pick via Green Bay and a first round pick in 2027. So they have both first round in 2026 and 2027. And look, they still have 70 million in cap space. So it's really going to depend on if they want to sign George Pickens or not. It's really good. That's
Right.
all going to depend on because Kenny Clark and Quentin Williams are both under contract for the next 3 years. They're bringing their contracts from their prospective teams. So it's going to be interesting. Now, look, I will ask this question right here. Since the injury bug has bit Kenny Clark a little bit, do you think they should go get Wilkins at this point, Christian Wilkins at this point? He's another big defensive tackle out there in free agency. Do you think that he can fit into that? I know I'm asking you a repetitive question, BRF, and I apologize about that. But can you see him coming to this team, him and Quentin Williams really making a force in the middle and making it easier on the edge rushers? Because they do have Leonard Floyd out there on the outside. He's not he's not a Michael Parsons, but he is pretty good. But can you see them bringing in that team?
Well, I would entertain Christian Wilkins at this point now because I still think it's a bit of a travesty that he's not on a team. I mean, dude is one of the best defensive tackles in the league. He's been one of the best since he got drafted out of Clemson. Um, coming in with Miami, basically being the disruptor that he was there, and then taking the money with the Vegas Raiders, and then all the tomfoolery that happened there that caused him to get released. So I mean, with a guy as good as Christian Wilkins still being out there available to sign for any team, if I'm the Dallas Cowboys, I think you have to entertain it at this point. Because I think you're at this point now where it's like if you can't get an edge rusher, the next best thing you do is get any type of pass rush, which means if that means load up at the D tackle spot, you do it. And like I said, with the Dallas Cowboys, with Matt Eberflus as their defensive coordinator, he is one of those defensive coordinators that like to run different fronts, whether it be a 4-3-3-4. He does like to experiment. He does like to run different things. He does like to kind of create. Regardless of how good his defense has been, one thing Matt Eberflus is not ashamed of is attempting to be creative on his front. So a guy like Christian Wilkins, so if you have Christian Wilkins, Quentin Williams, and Kenny Clark, if you have them all healthy, you do have three guys who can rush the passer. And then with a guy like I said, with Quentin Williams and Christian Wilkins, if you want to experiment in 3-4 schemes, you can kick them out and let them play that. What you want to call it, if you want to call that 5 technique on the defensive end in the 3-4, if you want to call it that. So they can do that if you're trying to experiment and be creative even more. I would entertain Christian Wilkins at this point. I think a lot of teams should entertain Christian Wilkins. I feel like if you don't sign him this year, as long as he's staying upright and healthy and staying in football shape, Christian Wilkins will be one of the most sought after free agents in terms of just adding depth because he's still really, really good. He's like still a young cat. So it's not like his game's diminished. It's not like he's a bad player. So, yeah, if I'm the Dallas Cowboys, I entertain Quentin Williams. You got Quentin Williams. I would entertain Christian Wilkins. I mean, any way to add depth, I would entertain signing him. I would.
And if you really think about the Dallas Cowboys history, it's not defensive tackle. It's not really the glamour position. But when you think about it, it's really a really stable position when you think about Russell Maryland, when you think about Jeff Coat, when you think about Tank Johnson. Remember, they brought Tank Johnson in, and they brought in a whole bunch of players at the Leroy Glover. Remember Leroy Glover?
Leroy Glover, yes.
Yeah, he was the poor man's Warren Sapp for a very, very long time. Eligible for the Hall of Fame, by the way. So when you think about the defensive tackle position and how it has anchored the Dallas Cowboys defense over the course of many years, especially back in the heyday, it wouldn't be a shock if you was able to bring a guy like Christian Wilkins in order to put him with a Quentin Williams and Kenny Clark. And if you could if you could put them all on the field at the same time and have them in the 3-4, like Matt Eberflus is known to do, then guess what? I think there could be a major disruption. Remember what happened when they was finally able to get the whole Ted Washington and Warren Sapp combination under control out there in Oakland. They was able to
Right.
cause some damage, although they didn't have no damn offense. So yeah, but Ted Washington and those guys were causing a lot of damage. So, and not just there. Remember when they had Ty Roy, Teddy Washington, and Richard Seymour up there in New
Good to
England?
see more in New England.
Yes, disruptors. So yeah, I think that was a good move by them to get Logan Wilson and Quentin Williams. But I think Quentin Wilson is the big one. He's the big one. But you got to ask yourself this: is it too little, too late for the Dallas Cowboys at this point? Can they come back after these trades and this 3 and 5 starts? Well, what do you think?
With the state of the NFC, none of the 3 and 5 teams are out of it. All of the 3 and 5 teams can make a run if things fall into place. Whether so no, I don't think Dallas is out of it yet. I still think they're going to live and die by the sword, which is that offense they have.
Mm-hmm.
But improving that defense today the way they have definitely kind of shows what they're trying to do, that they want to make the playoffs. Even if they don't win the NFC East, getting that 5, that 6, or that 7 spot to get in the playoffs. Jerry Jones is showing that he's trying. Now it's just a matter of those players getting out there and really executing better, being disciplined, and not getting burnt so much on the back end in terms of that secondary. I'm shocked they didn't really do anything for the secondary. I'm shocked they didn't try to add to the depth because ever since Deron Bland got that money,
Ugh.
he's been a no-show. He ain't been good. He ain't been good since he got that money.
No.
So I am definitely shocked they didn't try to add to try to add help to that secondary. But you got to take it where you can get it. But no, I don't think it's too little, too late because the NFC is still really wide open. I still think about 10, 11 teams have claims to those 7 spots. So the Dallas Cowboys are definitely not eliminated by a long shot. I definitely don't think they're out the running to get one of those wild card spots. I think you have to do all you can at this point. So they needed to make moves today to kind of hopefully light a fire on them and get them going because I really feel their run, if nothing else, that run defense did get better. Because, like I said, Logan Wilson is a reliable middle linebacker, and Quinn Williams, I think, is one of the 5 best defensive tackles in football. So that run defense did get a little better, being able to stuff those in between the tackle runs a little more. So nah, I don't think this is too. If this was like, let me tell you something. If there were like, I don't know. I think if there was more of a stranglehold as far as like the way with the playoffs, like if we it's still a little early to tell. If this was like week 13, week 14, and they were like, say, I don't know, gosh, if they were, let's say they were like 7-7 going into the final 3 games of the year trying to do something like this, it might be too little too late, depending on what the other teams are doing. But there's still a lot of football to be played. So nah, I don't think this is too late. I still think they got a shot, but that off like Arizona did a hell of a job with the Dallas Cowboys, like being able to slow that offense down last night. Will Johnson at corner did his thing last night like he's been doing all year. He's a contender for defensive rookie of the year. Just really controlling the tempo and really taking Dallas out of their game plan. Which at the end of the day, they still want to run Javonte Williams. They still want to set up the play action so Dak can do his thing. They're not necessarily like a 3, 4 receiver set, just slinging and go. That's not their style. They're still predicated on the run. They're still predicated on the play action. So shout out to Arizona for playing good defensive ball last night. But Dallas is still going to live and die by that offense. They're not eliminated. They're not out of it yet. I still think, if anything, maybe the 6 or the 7. But we'll see where it goes. I still think they got a shot for a wild card. They just got to play better disciplined football. Because last night was not it. But it's still not the end of the world just yet.
Hey, like you said, you live by the gun, you die by the gun. But in the great words of Lord Banks, they say if you live by the gun, you die by the gun. If that's the case, then get a bigger one. So
Yeah, right.
that's what Dallas did. It when I got a bigger gun. So
Exactly.
that's exactly what they did. It when I got a bigger gun. So hey, but they're not the only team that made a big splash this trade deadline. They're not the only team that made a big huge splash. Another team that made a big huge splash was the Indianapolis Colts. trading 2 first-round picks in order to get Sauce Gardner. If you ask me, Sauce Gardner is one of the better cornerbacks in this league at this point. The Colts already have a good defense on that team. Is he the final piece to this Super Bowl puzzle? Now remember, Daniel Jones is first in the league in passing yards. Jonathan Taylor, he's first in the league in rushing yards and having an MVP type of year. That's just on the offensive side. The defensive side, they're pretty straight. Is Sauce Gardner the final piece of this Super Bowl puzzle?
When you look at the defensive side of the ball, he very well could be. I feel like your front seven set. You have a really good front. You have a good front seven. Um, I really feel like it's very possible he could be that missing piece because the defense. I feel like defenses work best from the defensive line backwards. Everything seems to translate. Everything seems to flow from the defensive line backwards. Because if that defensive line is getting good pass rush, it makes the job a lot easier for your corners and your safeties to just go out there and do their thing, lock up opposing wide receivers. I think it almost feels kind of. I hate to bring us up into it. It's almost kind of fitting they would make this trade and we play them this week. Go figure. It's
Yeah.
almost fitting. But regardless, a move like this shows the Indianapolis Colts fans that they're not playing this year. They feel like there's a Super Bowl that can be won in Indianapolis. A move like this is a championship contending is the front office telling their fans, "Hey, we think we got a shot this year." To give up 2 first-round picks for Sauce Gardner, you're telling your fans, "Hey, we're going for it. This is an all-in move. This is nothing but an all-in move." So considering and not just and here's the thing, though, you're not forgetting. But shout out, poor AD Mitchell. Poor AD Mitchell. He was in that trade. So it was actually 2 first-round picks and AD Mitchell for Sauce Gardner. So Indianapolis gave up quite a bit for him. But it's an all-in move though. Um, basically, what that means is that offense is set in stone now. I mean, it was already Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, and Alec Pierce. That offense is set in stone. Tyler Warren, who's having a banger rookie year. Jonathan Taylor, Offensive Player of the Year favorite, MVP candidate. Daniel Jones, Comeback Player of the Year candidate. Yeah, they had a bad game last week, but I mean, hey, that's what happens sometimes when you run into the Pittsburgh Steelers on a good day. It happens. But that's an all-in move. Getting Sauce Gardner, like what they gave up for him, that's an all-in move. So they are definitely one of the exciting teams in the league this year. One of the bigger out of nowhere stories with them and the New England Patriots, both having 7 wins already. So this was an all-in move. This was an all-in move. They're trying to win a championship this year.
Yeah.
That's what that move is telling me. They are trying to win a championship this year. And I mean, the way the Milwaukee Brewers were riding the Bob Uecker train, the Indianapolis Colts are riding the Jim Irsay train, and they're trying to do it for they're trying to do it. They're trying to do it for their former owner, CEO, who passed away in the offseason. So they are trying to take whatever positive energy that they can from that, and they're trying to make a run for this season. Sauce Gardner is an all-in type of trade.
How forward are you looking to this Sunday to seeing Drake London match up against Sauce Gardner? How much forward are you looking to that matchup at this point? You think that Sauce is going to give him a hard time, or you think that Drake London is going to overcome him at a certain point? How do you feel about this upcoming matchup? I got to ask you that. I would have saved it to Sunday, but it'll be long gone before that. How do you feel about this Sauce Gardner versus Drake London? Because if you ask me, Drake London is a top 10 receiver in this league. That's just me being honest with you. But what do you think?
Drake, yeah, oh yeah, Drake London, what he did against Christian Gonzalez and Carlton Davis, what he did against those New England corners, oh yeah, he's top 10 certified. He's top 10 certified. They've been two of the better corners in the league all year. Christian Gonzalez, I mean, you saw the value of Christian Gonzalez when he was out, when he missed the game, and then he comes back, and you saw how different that defense was with him in it because he makes everything easier. But for Drake London to go out there and go 119 and 3 touchdowns against Carlton Davis and Christian Gonzalez, Drake London is top 10 certified. If I don't have the utmost confidence in Zach Robinson as an offensive coordinator, but if you are going to take advantage of a situation, this is the week to do it because Sauce Gardner's coming in learning an entire new defense, an entirely new defense, new schemes, new play calls, new everything. If he's getting traded and he's going to play this Sunday in the Germany game, if you're going to take advantage of it, now is the time. And with Drake London being on the roll he is right now, is not a better chance to really feast on him than this Sunday. But at the same time, though, it's Sauce Gardner. Sauce Gardner really since him being in the league, he's always been pretty good as far as man to man and press. He's not scared to get up on receivers and throw off their rhythm, throw off timing. That's something I still feel like is one of Drake's kind of flaws because he's not the fastest wide receiver. He relies on strength. He relies on physicality. He just relies on bodying whoever his man is. So I'm looking forward to the matchup because, like I said, if Zach Robinson is going to ever take advantage of a matchup, Sunday would be the day. But I don't have the utmost confidence in him as an offensive coordinator. We'll see on that Sunday. But like I said, man, I was when I saw that the Colts had got him, I was a little surprised, but I was happy for him because I've been kind of on like the Colts and the Patriots, their bandwagon as far as like teams that could really like shock some people this year. So I'm happy to see that they're winning and playing well and going out and making all in moves like this. So shout out to the Colts.
Yes, indeed. I got to introduce some special guest star, our cousin in the podcasting business, the New Jersey genius, Mr. 150K. 150K. Live from the Garden State himself. The New Jersey Genius Sports PSP, man. Man, look. Sports PSP, man. Hold on. Let's just go ahead and give him a round of applause coming in, man. How you doing, Sports PSP?
Good, man. I just finished doing the video. It should be releasing out on YouTube regarding the Jets. They're cleaning up their mess. That's the name of the episode. Trading their draft pick, trading Quinn Williams, Sauce Gardner, of course. What they're gonna do with those draft picks, only time will tell. But I'm sure, Champ, you're probably gonna ask me what are my thoughts regarding these trades.
Yes. We'll stick to the script right about now, and then I'll recap the other two questions. How do you feel about Indianapolis going all in for Sauce Gardner? And is he the final piece to this Super Bowl puzzle that they have going?
I still think they need more work, though, but I love it for the Colts won this one. They won this trade because Sauce Gardner, finally, he can go to a winning culture that will rejuvenate his career. The Colts are sitting pretty at the AFC South and one of the top teams in the AFC, despite that loss against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Shane Steichen is my coach of the year, although you can argue for Kyle Shanahan or Mike Vrabel. Daniel Jones, despite that awful performance, he has turned around his career, and Jonathan Taylor, offensive player of the year. And if he keeps this up, who knows about for MVP. But I just don't trust the New York Jets, Champ. They traded this one, and of course they traded Quinn Williams. I think with the New York Jets, yes, 5 first-round picks, and you get 2 second-round picks in the years of 2026 and 2027. What exactly are you going to do? Well, you better get yourself a quarterback. You better get yourself offensive line. No one's a bigger advocate than you. Quarterback cannot throw behind their back, and you better get yourself a DB. Now the question is, with the QB, I think they should draft the kid Fernando Mendoza out of Indiana. I have him as my favorite so far for the Heisman. He's actually been playing very well this season. Indiana, they've had a hell of a season. Shout out to the head coach, Kirk Libnetti. I hope I'm pronouncing the last name right.
Kurt Signetti.
Signetti, I apologize.
It happens.
But I just think for the Jets, you got all these draft picks. So I'm looking at Woody Johnson. And we cannot ignore what happened to him last year. Madden ratings. Of all the things that you can do to evaluate talent, you chose Madden ratings. And I don't know if you
That
saw
man,
the video I
that
sent
man,
you,
that
champ.
man made me drink when he said that.
I don't know if I sent you the video, champ. Did you hear or see when his reaction when they took care of Sauce Gardner and Quinn Williams, how imperative it was for them to take care of those players?
Yeah,
That's over $200 million. The 4-year, $120 million extension for Quinn Williams. I'm sorry, Sauce Gardner, and the 4-year, $96 million. That's over $200 million. And Woody Johnson said it's imperative that we took care of them. And the Jets is also being reported that they tried to get a third round pick to the Kansas City Chiefs in exchange for Brees Hall, but Kansas City was like, nah, we'll
yeah,
give you a fourth.
yeah. The DC just told us about that. We was gonna go back to that question a little bit later, but thank you for bringing that up. I'm glad that trade didn't happen because can you imagine the damage that would have caused in that damn AFC West division? Because the thing is, right now,
Paramount with
although
Pacheco.
yeah, Brees Hall's better than Pacheco. I
I
like
mean, he's
Pacheco.
better than Pacheco, no doubt about that. But the combination champ,
Yeah,
that's what I'm referring to.
okay, my
Well,
bad.
you actually got a three-headed monster the way with Kareem Hunt stepping in every so often and getting touches and making plays. So you actually got a three-headed monster in Kansas City.
Yeah,
And if Kareem Hunt had not been for that situation, can you imagine how Kansas City would have been had they kept him?
yeah, they would have won the Super Bowl. I'm convinced they didn't have a running game in that AFC Championship, and that's the reason why they did that. Why they ended up losing. I'm convinced that if he wouldn't have got suspended that year, because remember he led the league in rushing that year. He led the league in rushing. So
Well,
if
the
he
reason
would,
why they let him go, champ, was because the Chiefs, according to their statement, they said that Kareem Hunt was not truthful.
yeah,
In other
he
words,
was he was lying about it.
when they had prior discussions about the incident in question, he had told them a different story compared to the video that TMZ released.
Yeah,
Right.
So I can't really knock the Chiefs for that because hey, we took you at your word. All right, fine. But then the video showed otherwise, so we had no other choice but to let you go. But my thing is, champ, with Indy, I love the executive from the Indianapolis Colts, the female who's always on the sidelines. That tells me that she's doing her homework. That tells me that she knows what she's doing. She may not know football entirely, but she doesn't have to. At least she's willing to learn. At least she's willing to try to understand what things that she needs to do in order to make things well. I believe that's the daughter of the late Jim Irsay.
yes, indeed.
Yep. Her full name is Carly Ursay Gordon. She is the daughter of Jim Ursay. So yeah, she's been she
Talk about
you respect
executive.
the effort.
When you talk about executive and when you talk about effort, hey man, she has done her thing. As far as Indianapolis, this is an excellent move for them because the Jets, despite the 2 first-round picks, what are they going to do? Now with the Quinn Williams, yes, this is big for Dallas. I actually thought Jerry Jones was blowing smoke out his ass when he said, "Oh, we made some trades" when he was on Stephen A. Smith's show, and I'm more convinced than ever that Stephen A. Smith is a die-hard Dallas Cowboy fan, whether he'll admit it or not. He is a Dallas Cowboys fan, but I will give Jerry his due. But he did land a big trade with Quinn Williams. Here's the thing: how's that going to work out with the defense? Because Matt Eberflus, as a defensive guy, now Brian Schottenheimer for the Dallas, he's done his part with the offense despite the last couple of games. But when you look at their defense, it has been atrocious. Defense, they're one of the worst defenses in the NFL. The only defense you can argue that's worse than them are the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah,
And when you look at overall with this team, my concern is, yeah, you did get these moves, but what happens when the offense is not clicking? What happens if the offense has a lackluster performance? Is the defense finally going to step up? And right now, Philly, it's their division to lose because unfortunately for Washington, their season is over. Let's just call it for what it is. All the injuries, Jaden Daniels out, Marshawn Lattimore out. Washington has the oldest roster in the NFL, 28.1, more than the New Orleans Saints and the Raiders. I think the Saints back in 2023, the Raiders back in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
It's Philadelphia Eagles division to lose, and the Eagles are coming off a bye. And they're facing the Green Bay Packers Monday night, which, oh, by the way, unfortunately for the Packers, Tucker Kraft, one of the top tight ends in the NFL, tore his ACL.
Damn, I missed that part, man. I thought it was gonna be all right. Shit.
Nah, they feared it was an ACL tear, and it confirmed it.
Damn, that sucks. I hate that. Is it too little, too late for? It's too little, too late for the Cowboys. In your opinion, PSP, before we move on back to the Jets.
Me?
Yeah.
Look, I believe Cowboys, they have a chance of making the wild card. Maybe the wild card, considering how prolific the offense be, with Wilson and Quinn Williams. Logan Wilson, that was a solid move. Quinn Williams was a big time move. But the bottom line is it going to be enough for this defense? BRF, you've often said Trayvon Diggs is the most overrated player in the NFL. You've made that argument. Matt Eberflus, his defense, lackluster. The Cowboys, I don't know. I know y'all watched that game. Too many missed tackles. Too many missed tackles in that game. Not enough ways to stop the offense. I mean, Jacoby Brissett, and by the way, shout out to Jacoby Brissett. He had a really good game. I think moving forward, the Cardinals, they should have him as the starter for the remainder of the season. I think Kyler Murray's days in Arizona perhaps numbered. And I think that Arizona should trade him at this point after the season. But I think for Dallas, it's not going to be enough. We're going to have to wait and see what Jerry does in the draft. You got the 2 first-round picks for that Micah Parsons trade, so only time will tell.
Let's get back to the New York Jets, man, because I just got to ask this question. Can they get it right this time? Because if you really, really look at it, I'm just going to be very, very honest with you. When it comes to players, they can draft good players. We've seen them draft the Real Reeves. We've seen them draft the Brickashaw Ferguson. We've seen them draft the late, great Nick Mangle. We've seen them draft Kevin Maway. We've seen him draft good running backs. We've seen them draft pretty much Jamal Adams. We saw them draft a little bit of greatness across the board. We even see them do their thing in the undrafted free agency portion when it comes to Wayne Corbett. We've seen them do their thing in receiver. We've seen them do their thing in the running back position.
Lavernius
Coles. You know, we seen them even make a splash in free agency, even back in the day when it came to Justin McCarron at a certain point. But the thing is, yeah, him too. Mm-hmm. You know, Antonio Cromartie, Bart Scott, those guys. We see them make impacts in free agency everywhere. Thomas Jones, LaDainian Thompson. But the thing is, it's going to come down to 2 things. Because they've drafted offensive line. They've drafted good offensive linemen. They've drafted great offensive linemen. But the thing is, can they get the coaching right? And can the front office get right? Not to mention the quarterback position. Because there's no doubt in my mind at every other position they can get it right. But they have not had that superstar quarterback since Joe Namath.
The best one that they really had, champ, you got to look at it, Chad Pennington. Chad Pennington was pretty underrated a little bit during his 2000s with the New York Jets. Mm-hmm. So imagine if you had Chad Pennington at quarterback as opposed to Mark Sanchez with Rex Ryan during the back-to-back AFC Championship appearances. I believe Pennington would have given the Jets a better chance to at least compete for a Super Bowl. Not win one, but at least compete for a Super Bowl. But I would know because I've been in New Jersey for over 20 years. They got to get it right with the quarterback. We talk about how Cleveland is quarterback purgatory. Jets, I mean, come on. Since that, I mean, Mark Sanchez, the Geno Smith, Sam Darnold to now resurrecting his career. I put that more on Adam Gase in terms of bringing. I mean, he was atrocious during his time with the New York Jets. So my thing is,
freebase.
Yeah.
Remember that face?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. When your quarterback coming on the sidelines and telling you dead to your face, they're making me see ghosts. That Monday night New England game,
That should
that's
tell you
not
all
good.
you need to know.
I think they got to get it right at the head coaching position, and they got to get it right at the quarterback position. That's why I think that they're lacking. I
And
mean,
they
and
got
the
to
thing,
find a way to get the key cornerback spot. Maybe Jamard McCoy out of Tennessee. They need a corner as well. Now that Sauce Gardner is gone, they got to find a way to replace Quinn Williams.
mhm.
But for me, with these 5 first-round picks and the 2 second-round picks in 2026, they got 2 first-round and the 2 second-rounds. So I would try to get at least a quarterback, offensive line with those 2 first-round picks, and then I could try to go for a DB or a running back or some other skill position because Brees Hall, he probably out of there in New York, and I can get a DB, a really good DB, like in the second or the third round if I'm the Jets, and then who knows? Because I heard, is this their way to trying to clean up even more house? Because are they trying to get Arch Manning in 2027? Are they trying to get Jeremiah Smith? Who knows what the Jets are trying to do? But if I'm Woody Johnson, I do not screw this up because if I do, I become the Cleveland Browns, the new Cleveland Browns. All that draft compensation I've accumulated, but just in a bigger market.
Yes, indeed, and I agree with that because remember that Julio Jones trade that
Yeah,
we did.
Yes.
We
Falcons.
gave up the farm in order to get Julio, and they did nothing with them. They did nothing with the picks that we gave them. So yeah, I mean, 5 first-round picks in the next 2 years. You have no excuse. You have to get everything right. I mean, plus you still got some pretty good players on that team. When you think about Brees Hall, Garrett Wilson, when you think about guys like that, you still have some pretty good players on those teams. It's just a matter of I would go the Jeremiah Smith route if I was going to go any route. I'm not going to take a chance on Arch until he proves something else next year. I don't
Although
think.
lately, I will, in fairness to Arch, he has been playing better than early on. He had that big win against Vandy, so let's give him due. And no, it's important to do that because again, Nico Nialeva, who from Tennessee went to UCLA, we've paid so much attention and criticism to Arch Manning. We got to do the same thing with Nico.
Yes,
So,
indeed.
but I think, champ, the Jets, what they must do, if I'm Woody Johnson, I cannot find a way to screw this up. And by the way, it's even criminal when you're trying to charge increased tickets. Do you remember what I sent you, champ, regarding that?
Yeah, I don't know why you look. If anything, you decrease the ticket price because you're trying to sell hope at this point. When you can't sell winning, you have to sell hope, and you can't sell hope if I got to pay $300 for a damn ticket. So, yeah, especially when you outdoors and you in New York. Trust me, I was stationed at Fort Dix at one point up there in New Jersey. New Jersey in them winters, it is harsh. I've been there. I remember it snowed for 10 days straight one time. Do you know how miserable I was being a Georgia dude coming from dude. Like, damn, it's cold up here. But yeah, it was cold as hell at Fort Dix. So yeah, you can't be overcharging in the cold. You can overcharge in the heat. You can't overcharge in the cold. But what's your
Mm.
thought, BRF, about this? Can the Jets get it right this time, especially at the quarterback and the coaching position at this point?
I got to be honest with you, man. Everybody's going to be talking about Arch Manning 2027 if he does stay. I don't know, man. That 2026 class is starting to kind of jump at me a little bit.
Ty
I feel
Simpson.
like you got Ty Simpson, you got Lenore Sellers coming out of South Carolina, you got Garrett Nussmeier coming out of LSU, you got you're gonna have Fernando Mendoza coming out of Indiana. You still got Drew L.R. He's gonna be a high rated prospect coming out of Penn State. You got quarterbacks. You got quarterbacks that are going to be available in 2026. Why wait for Arch in 2027 when you could possibly just snatch up one of those? You're going to have a high enough pick and just go with him and see what you got. I wouldn't necessarily wait on Arch. But yeah, the Jets have to get these right. Because I mean, Champ brought up a really good point with the Atlanta Falcons. They gave up the farm for Julio Jones. Cleveland did absolutely nothing, and the Atlanta Falcons became the eighth most winningest franchise of the 2010s. So that pretty much tells you right there what happens if you don't get something right. Well, when you do get something right, as opposed to when you don't get something right. So if I'm the yeah, and the Jets have so many holes. To have the players that they still have on that roster, to still have a Brees Hall. I mean, even though he's hurt, you have Braylon Allen, you have Garrett Wilson on the defensive side of the ball. You still have Jermaine Johnson. It's not like you don't have bad players on this roster, but you just have so many holes that you're gonna need to fill. So I'm definitely starting with that quarterback. I'm not waiting I'm not waiting for Arch. I grab up one of those three guys. I grab up one of those five guys I named, and you just kind of go from there. My favorite out of that bunch, I've been on the Garrett Nussmeier train really since I saw him play against Georgia in that SEC championship game. Just his poise, his arm strength, his pocket presence, everything. I've been a big fan of his ever since that SEC title game. When I saw him, even though Georgia routed him, he lit him up in that SEC title game. So he's definitely been one of my favorites, and I'm definitely getting a little bit on the Lenore Sellers train as well. His athleticism, his arm strength, his anticipation on his throws to be a running quarterback, but be able to be that accurate on his passes. I'm definitely a fan of his too. But they definitely need some offensive line help. They need offensive line help in a bad way. I would like your left tackle or your right tackle. I'd be trying to snag one of those bad boys up coming up in 2026 if you can. Um, definitely need more pass rushing help. Jermaine Johnson can't be your only reliable pass rusher. You need more pass rush help, and definitely now you need a DB or a corner. With Sauce Gardner going to Indianapolis, I mean they have a lot of holes, and with 5 firsts and 2 seconds, there's really no excuse to not be able to really kind of put a dent in the weaknesses you have on that team and to be able to get some good quality players. But this is Woody Johnson we're talking about, and he's the worst owner in the NFL. Let's just say it for what it's worth. He's the worst owner in the National Football League. When you comparing people to Madden ratings as opposed to why you won't bring nobody in, when out of your mouth you basically call your quarterback basically calling him. You just said he sucked. You said he's like the worst quarterback. Well, what was that quote? Well, if we could complete a pass, we'd be doing something. I'm like, bro, if I'm Justin Fields, that's why I was so happy for him when he won that game against Cincinnati, because that's the way.
Would you
That's
have
the
slapped
way,
him?
huh?
Would you have slapped him? Kind of like how Will
I
Smith
would,
slapped Chris Rock?
boy, I would have wanted to slap him. I would have wanted to slap him, but I tell you what, you can't necessarily do that. But what you can do is, take, one of these fingers in particular. I'm not going to show it on air, but take one of these fingers and tell him that he's number one. That's what you do. That's what you do. So but they have to get this right. They have to get good quality players. They have to really improve that depth in all facets of that team, from the quarterback to the O line to the front seven. I mean, they have too many holes. These 7 picks, they have to do it. If the New York Jets are ever gonna do a turn of 180 on this franchise and really get them to prominence and get them to being relevant, there's no better time than the present to knock these draft picks out. Because if you don't knock these draft picks out, if you don't get it right with this, you will never ever get it right.
Exactly. And we had another team, unfortunately for Sports PSP, we had another team that got an entire haul for one player when it came to in the form of Ricky Williams back in 1998. Remember, New Orleans, the Aints traded their entire draft in order to get Ricky Williams, and they traded their entire draft and the first and the third the next year. And unfortunately for that front office, unfortunately at that time it was under Dan Snyder, and that was just one of the other bonehead situations that Dan Snyder really blotched at that point. And
No,
you
that's
see why
okay.
he's no longer.
He's getting the last laugh after what happened Sunday night, but we don't need to get any further.
Yeah, and if
Dan,
I
Dan,
want,
Dan, 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 hey, I saw that, and I completely feel where you coming from. But if there's anybody, regardless what happened, who shouldn't be laughing worth a damn, is still him. He can still shut. He can still be quiet.
I
You could be
know.
like, see, because it's like it's not one of those where it's like, see, I wouldn't have done this. Punk, you signed Albert Hainsworth. Shut. up.
Not to mention, you brought in Adam Archuleta when you had Ryan Clark.
Yeah, exactly. That was a bonehead move. But look, credit to Adam Archuleta, man. That dude had one of the best workout programs that I've ever seen. And when I was in the amateurs, I tried his workout program. He used to literally throw the bench press up and try to catch it as he come down. That was amazing. He was a workout king, but unfortunately, that didn't translate over to the Washington Commanders during that time. Real quick before we head into the last segment, real quick, I changed this up at the very last minute. BRF, it was something earlier,
All
but I changed it at the last minute. So we
right.
can go from there. What is a what if trade? What is a trade that y'all wish that would have happened at this point?
A what if trade? Um, I would have
Wow.
loved to have seen us. I would have loved to have seen us get a wide receiver.
Okay.
I would have loved to have seen us get a wide receiver because our wide receiver room went from possibly being one of the deepest to now possibly being one of the worst. Our receiver room is Drake London and everybody else. I would have loved to have seen us get a Jacoby Myers or something like that. He went to Jacksonville during the trade deadline today. I would have loved to seen us get somebody like him. I would have loved to just. I feel like the Falcons should have got a wide receiver today to take a. I mean, because Darnell's still coming off an injury. He's still maybe if Darnell Mooney's getting healthy, then I'm not worried about it. But
Y'all should have
just
gotten
someone to
Rashid.
take. Should have got who?
Rashid.
Rashid. I would have liked Rashid Shaheed, but I think he went to Seattle.
He
But
did.
that would have been a good move. That would have been a good move too. But yeah, me personally, I would have loved to see the Atlanta Falcons get a wide receiver today. I think that because, like I said, you don't know what Drake Darnell Mooney is going to give you from week to week with his help. You know Drake. I mean, you know Drake London's the only reliable guy you got, particularly what he did against Christian Gonzalez and Carlton Davis, like we talked about earlier. You know what Drake London's going to bring to the table. I would have loved to have seen the Falcons get a wide receiver today.
Yeah. Plus, people don't realize how big of a thing now that Ray McLeod is not on that team anymore. I wonder what happened with Ray. They didn't put a lot of information out with Ray McLeod, but
And they're not going to.
he was a speedster. He was reliable, and he could catch that darn ball. But without Ray McLeod there, that was a real big hit for us. If you really want me to be honest, I would have liked us to make a run at Garrett Wilson. I would have liked for us to make a run at Garrett Wilson.
Boy, that would have took a little bit of that would have took a little bit of ransom to get him.
I think.
I mean, we are a second for him. I mean,
Maybe
we're
a
already.
second or a third for him. You're not gonna give up like a first round for Garrett Wilson, but at least a second.
We can't for 2026. I mean, the Rams got that when we got James Pierce Jr. So we don't have a first for 2026.
That's also another reason why. So my thing is, if I'm Atlanta, I mean, honestly, Atlanta, they played well in that game against New England.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear
They
anyone
did.
say anything negative about Michael Penix Jr. He played well. Drake London against a cornerback who I wanted, Christian Gonzalez. I wanted Christian Gonzalez on the team. I wanted him in Washington as opposed to Emmanuel Forbes. But the thing is with Atlanta, to Champ's point, Drake May play. Despite the turnovers, Drake May was cooking early on in the game. They had a hard time stopping that deep threat from New England. But special teams missed the extra
Our
point.
special teams was trash.
Well, it's been struggling. I mean, you got to go back to the season opener against Tampa.
Yeah.
I mean,
we just cut another kicker, so.
Yeah, we cut Parker Romo and we signed Zane Gonzalez. Why won't we just go ahead and sign Rodrigo Blankenship? Just sign the Georgia boy. Sign Rodrigo Blankenship. Just give him a chance.
You want to find goggles?
Well, Champ, worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, if I'm Atlanta, I better not go get my hands on Roberto Aguayo. Remember what happened with Roberto Aguayo in Florida State? The Florida State kicker. Remember what happened to him? It can't be much worse than having that kicker.
No.
Yeah.
Another trade I wish would have happened.
You ain't joking about that, though.
I wish someone would have traded for Myles Garrett. I wish Myles Garrett, someone would have just gave up a form, gave up a ransom, and just said, you know what, we finna get you the hell up out of Cleveland. And
he brought that on himself.
Yeah. Granted, yes, indeed. But I wish that team would have been none other than the Los Angeles Rams. I'm still getting used to calling them the Los Angeles Rams.
Champ, Jesus, man, the Rams.
Yes. Do like they
Ooh, I love that fit, but I love that fit is why you said that.
Yeah, I wish that the Los
Or either
Angeles.
that or Philadelphia. I'd be damned
Oh
if you go.
hell no, we're not giving
Yeah,
them to Philadelphia. Oh, hell.
Bruh,
I would
they did get Jalen Phillips today. They don't
and
need no more.
And Broad, I love you, but I would have never heard the end of that shit. Hell no. Y'all took my entire roster from my Georgia team and brought it right up there to Philadelphia. I'll be kicking our ass ever since. So no, we're not going to do that. But I wish that the Los Angeles Rams would have got a hold of him, or maybe
Max
even
Crosby. I wanted Max Crosby.
either Max Crosby to the Washington Commanders. Somebody should have gave. I wish one of these teams should have gave
No,
up.
I don't want Max Crosby to be subjected to that. I want Max Crosby to go somewhere on a contender, not to
Yeah,
be subjected right now in Washington. Unless you told me, hey, this year's an aberration. We'll look forward into 2026. Okay, fine, I'll give you that. But I'm talking about for the purpose of winning right now.
yeah. Well, either I really wish that one of three teams would have got either the 49ers.
Because of Bosa injury and all
Well,
the injuries they've had.
the hometown guy, he got hurt too.
Yes.
Markel Williams, he's hurt too.
Michael Williams.
Yes. Guess where he's from, by the way?
Columbus.
Columbus, Georgia. He went to Hardaway, my
Mm,
alma mater.
okay.
So
Okay.
shout out to Markel Williams, man. We playing for you. And shout out to his coach, my old teammate, Jonathan Burton. So shout out to his old coach, Jonathan Burton, who was sitting in the draft room with him. So shout out to Jonathan Burton and shout out to Markel Williams. They definitely Columbus is full of talent, man. Let's just keep it all the way 100. So from Joe to Wayne Brady to Markel Williams, Roderick Hood, Jarvis Jones, who's in the running for the state championship, by the way, we are full of talent down here. So look, I wish that either the 49ers would have got him or the Los Angeles Rams would have got him. Or Dallas would have got him. Dallas would have got him.
Ooh.
Max Crosby.
Either Max Crosby, because they end up trying to make a trade to get Max Crosby. I think they offered 2 first-round picks in order to get him. But they said, Oakland, Los Angeles, whatever the hell they is today, they end up saying, hell no. Well, look, let me just be real. When I was growing up, they were not the Oakland Raiders. Remember when Bo Jackson and Marcus Allen was there, they was the Los Angeles Raiders. And then as I got older, they moved back to Oakland. Then they became the Oakland Raiders. Then now they're the Las Vegas Raiders. So it's just like for a guy who grew up seeing them in the silver and black in Los Angeles, it's kind of weird seeing that. But I digress.
Well, we knew that. Well, we also knew that from that 30 for 30 narrated by the great Ice Cube.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. But when I was a kid, they was the Los Angeles Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I really wish that that one of those three teams would have either gotten Myles Garrett or Max Crosby just to get them out of perpetuity. But, unfortunately for Myles Garrett and Max Crosby, that money, took priority. And unfortunately, they're in purgatory right about now.
Real quick before we move on, though, I will say this about those two. Do not be shocked. I know they're saying they're not going to trade him now. In the offseason, they will be taking calls for him. Don't be surprised. They will be taking calls.
Especially the Raiders, I believe, because
they
are damn atrocious right now. They are atrocious. They are.
Yeah, I think if you're the Raiders and if you're the Raiders and you think you could get a haul for Max Crosby, you got to do it at this point. You might have as many holes as the Jets do in terms of that team.
Yeah, you got a lot of vicious things you got to fix out there in Las Vegas, and we ain't even gonna talk about the FBI watching the football games. So let's just be real. Hey man, it's Las Vegas. You know the FBI watching the football game. I don't know why is everybody so shocked about this. But any other trades that y'all wish would have happened at this point?
Breece Hall
to the Chiefs.
Not necessarily the Chiefs. If there's one team I would like to see him go to besides the Chiefs on a playoff contender. Hmm. Probably Pittsburgh.
What?
Yeah, him and Todd
Yeah,
Gurley would get a good combination.
Especially at
I
Aaron
like, I
Rodgers
like.
at this point in his career, I would like to see him go to Pittsburgh, reunite with Aaron Rodgers for a little bit.
That would have been good.
I think, they're doing okay. I would have loved to see. I think Denver would have been a good move for Brees Hall too.
Yeah,
Oh yes,
him and J.K. Dobbins, just in case.
You got him, J.K. Dobbins, and R.J. Harvey. You got to, yeah. I think that would have been that would have been a nice little trio right there.
and
Yeah,
J.K. Dobbins, despite all the injuries he had with the Achilles, he still finds a way to be productive.
yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And last but not least, man, we're going to take it all the way back from Oklahoma, all the way back to Oklahoma and Arizona, that region out there in the Southwest. By the time I get to Arizona, shout out to Public Enemy, by the way, Jacoby Brissett is starting in Arizona. It's just the beginning of the end of Kyler Murray in
Yes,
Arizona.
yes, absolutely. I think it's been time. Champ, remember in 2023, Arizona, they were projected to have the number one overall pick in 2024. And imagine if they had Caleb Williams. So they would have to make a decision on what are they going to do. Either they trade the number one overall pick, get something, or draft it and draft Caleb and trade Kyler. Look, after 7 years in Arizona, look, champ, remember the episode that we did on me responding back to Kyler Murray when Kyler Murray, remember when I said I would have loved to see him in Atlanta? You suggested no because of all the places. If you can't concentrate in Arizona, what the hell makes you think you're going to concentrate in a market like Atlanta? To which he
Facts.
responded, and me being, and he was criticizing me for questioning his work ethic. You don't know what I do behind the scenes in order for me to prepare. Well, Kyler, if that's the case, explain why the Cardinals put that independent study clause in your contract, to which you signed. That's on you, as well as your representation. You said it in the South, champ. Everybody ain't lying. Patrick Peterson, Kyler Murray don't care about nobody but Kyler Murray. These are things people have said about Kyler Murray and his attitude and his immaturity. And to make matters worse with Kyler, if you look at the stats between Jacoby Brissett's numbers this season compared to Kyler's, Jacoby's is much far better. Passing yards, touchdowns, and the biggest thing, Marvin Harrison. They finally gave Kyler Murray talent at the wide receiver spot, a generational talent coming out of college in Marvin Harrison.
Yes, indeed. That's exactly what Dwayne's question was about Marvin Harrison.
And Marvin Harrison Sr. obviously had a lot to say regarding the offense. He doesn't like how the way his son is being utilized. And Marvin Harrison Jr. has had some struggles. Look no further than the Seattle game on Thursday night with the drops. But to put him up with an experienced quarterback in Jacoby Brissett, and what you're seeing with Jacoby and this offense, what's the thing that is holding against Kyler Murray, albeit against the Dallas Cowboys, you're seeing the potential of what Arizona could be if they have a legit QB, someone that can fit their culture. And Kyler Murray's days are numbered, given his attitude. And on top of that, what was the other concern with Kyler? His size. Kyler's what? Listed at 5'10", although he's really more 5'8", 5'9"-ish. He's not really that tall. But Kyler Murray has had durability problems. Kyler Murray, remember, his third year, the first half of the season, he was the runaway favorite for the league MVP. And in the second half, he tailed off. Now, some people may look at it and say, well, it's Cliff Kingsbury because before he took the head coaching job at Arizona, you look at his record at Texas Tech. He starts off well, cools off. Let's not forget the Thursday night football game in year 4, champ, in which he yelled at Cliff Kingsbury on the sideline, telling Cliff, calm the fuck down. So when I look at all those issues, and plus you mentioned it before of Cliff Kingsbury, Jaden Daniels, a lot more coachable, a lot
Yeah.
more easy to work with if you're Cliff Kingsbury or any of the head coaches. The fact that the offense is flourishing with Jacoby Brissett, a journeyman quarterback, compared to Kyler Murray, if that's not enough to say that Arizona needs to move on from Kyler, I don't know what to say. But I think it's best for Kyler and Arizona to part ways. At this point right now, Kyler, considering his attitude and what's the perception has been about him, he's the shorter version of Carson Wentz. Remember how Carson Wentz, his attitude problems in Philadelphia
Mm-hmm.
until he was ultimately traded to Indianapolis and went to elsewhere?
Mm-hmm.
That's where Kyler Murray is at this point. Not as bad as a football player as Carson Wentz, but in terms of attitude, maturity, that's where he is at this point. Because Carson Wentz, early on in his career, had it not been for the injury in year 2, he would have won the league MVP.
Yes, indeed.
And where he is at this point.
Yeah, he's on the injured list again, and when he get back off the injured list, he going so far back on the bench that they're gonna have to shoot him Gatorade. So that's just the bottom line. BRF.
He was a cap gun. And if he was firing blanks. That's
Yes,
what he
indeed.
was.
I like that.
Yeah.
BRF.
Well, Carson Wentz won the 22. He wasn't 11, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah, I do too. I think it's definitely time for Kyler Murray to leave Arizona, for Arizona to part ways with him. I think with Jacoby Brissett really doing well in this offense, it kind of puts the spotlight on. I think it kind of puts it back to like the film study and the preparation, because even though Jacoby Brissett is a veteran quarterback, it's the simple standpoint that he's coming in to a new team with new teammates, and he's come in and he's really just really since he took the job, like with Kyler getting hurt, it's just been like it's been like all systems go. You're seeing a new energy out of Marvin Harrison. You see Trey McBride playing well. I mean, those are two guys you want to get involved the most. Those are the two guys you want to get going, because ultimately those are the two faces of your offense that are ultimately going to get you going outside of, say, if Kyler Murray was 100% and playing at a high level. Marvin Harrison Jr. and Trey McBride. Trey McBride is, in my opinion, is a top 5 tight end in the league, and we know the godlike potential that Marvin Harrison Jr. has as a wide receiver. So I think that really kind of puts a real flaming spotlight on the fact that if Jacoby Brissett can come in, learning this offense, and being able to produce at a high level with the exact same talent that you have, and you can't get it done from week to week, that's almost the nail in the coffin as far as whether Kyler Murray should leave Arizona, should Arizona part ways with him. I think that's really the nail in the coffin. Now, is he still a very talented quarterback? Absolutely. We're not gonna sit here and talk about Kyler not being a talented quarterback, because he obviously can play the quarterback position, but with his size and his style and the way he likes to play, he has to go to a team where the offense is willing to cater around his skill set, not necessarily him just coming in and fit in. They have to cater to him, his ability to run. He's got an arm. We know this. He's got a strong arm, but it's his ability to make plays out the pocket. His ability to kind of in structure, out of structure plays, like his ability to do that. But you're going to have to really cater around him. So it's got to be the right team. It's got to be the right offense. But yeah, I definitely think it's time. I think it's about, if I feel like if they're going to entertain it, it probably would have been like maybe a couple years ago if they're going to entertain it. And I definitely think you should now with the quarterbacks that's coming out in the draft. Depending on how far you fall, how low you drop in the first round, as far as like whether you're top 10 or whether you're in that middle of the first round. Because if I'm the Arizona Cardinals, if I'm the Arizona Cardinals, I look at two names. If they drop to them, like if they're in the middle of the first round, I'm looking at Garrett Nussmeier. I'm looking at Drew Allar. Two big tall quarterbacks with strong arms who can actually look over the offensive line. They're both tall guys. They can both look over the offensive line, so obviously they're going to be able to see their targets, not worry about
Take Nussmeier.
anything. Distract. Yeah, you would take that. You would take Nussmeier.
I would take Nussmeier because one, Allard is coming off that nasty injury. That's one.
That's
I
true.
do think
That's true.
I think given the fact, and plus he has a lot of arm talent, Nussmeier. So I think if you just put him there with that type of offense that Jacoby Brissett is running, I think it's best made. But for Kyler, no one has doubted or questioned Kyler Murray's talent.
No.
That's undeniable.
Mm.
The knock on him has been his immaturity and his willing to learn. But Kyler brought that on himself. Kyler,
Yes, he did.
if you feel flattered or offended for anyone to question your work ethic, why in the hell would the organization who gave you that fat contract, why would they put a study clause in your contract? I've never heard that of anybody's contracts. I've heard weight clauses, I've heard other clauses, but not an independent study clause. Have y'all?
Mm-mm.
No, I've never
Call
heard
it
of that.
Call of Duty. Call of Duty should not be more important than your team. It just shouldn't. No, I mean, when that story came out about him, like the video games and all that stuff, I'm like, bro, you have the opportunity of a lifetime to be a franchise quarterback, making trying to making a 9-figure contract, leading the franchise, and you jeopardizing it because your mindset and your work ethic, not necessarily your physical work ethic, but your your mental work ethic, getting in the classroom, studying, getting with coaches. You kind of having that first one in, last one out mentality, which really is what really all franchises kind of want that out of their franchise quarterback. You're the first one in and you're the last one out, and not showing that. Like I said, that's why with Jacoby Brissett coming in and really playing off the jump and really doing well, I think that really puts a spotlight and accentuates the fact that you ain't been that the mindset, the mental game, it ain't there with him right now as far as being the best possible quarterback that he could be for the Arizona Cardinals. And PSP's right. No one is questioning that man's talent. Kyler Murray is one of the most talented players, regardless of position, in the National Football League. But there comes a time where the physical and the mental have to meet up at the exact same point to get everything running, to get the ball rolling, for you to become the best possible version of yourself. And he still hasn't done it yet in Arizona. 7 years, 7 years, only one playoff appearance. I mean, that's
In which you
not
didn't even play
what.
that well in that
But
game.
you
Let's
didn't.
not forget you had a
Yeah,
QBR of 8. 8.
exactly. That's not going to get it done. So, but yeah, I think at this point you have to look at you have to look at trade destinations for him in the offseason. You have to take calls, and it's not like you don't. It's not like you don't have holes in your team as well, because you definitely need some defensive help. You need some pass rushing help. So I'm fielding calls for Kyler. I'm seeing what I can get as far as draft capital for him, and I'm trying to rebuild that offense, and I'm honestly looking at a running back, because you don't know what James Conner is going to be like going in the next season. So I'm trying to rebuild that defense, and I'm looking at trying to get a running back in the second and third round, depending on who's available, who's coming out in the draft.
I'm just looking at these stats right here. Sorry, champ, to waste your time. I'm looking at it from
Good.
Pro Football Focus. In the last 3 games, Jacoby Brissett, 867 passing yards, a total of 7 touchdowns, and a 76% on adjusted completion rate.
Yep.
Ooh, eating.
Hey, on that note, hey, I gotta give you your props on that one. Matter of fact, let's give him a double. That was amazing. That is amazing. Real quick, before we go off the air, real quick, we got 30 seconds apiece. 30 seconds apiece.
Okay.
What team can you see taking Kyler Murray at this point next year?
If I'm being completely honest,
What, Miami?
No.
nah.
Like I said, if you can't concentrate, look, I'm gonna just be real. The reason why I said that if you can't concentrate in a place like Arizona, you can't concentrate anywhere. Do you know
What
where?
about Minnesota?
Huh?
Minnesota. I
No,
think
I don't think. I think that they're going to be stuck on JJ McCarthy at this point, and I don't think anybody's willing to take on that contract unless he's released. Like unless he's Russell Wilson at this point, I don't really see anybody else taking on that contract.
I know that, champ, but do you trust his durability, JJ? And if you don't want him in Minnesota, where? Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh. I think the Jets will be foolish in order to take on that contract, considering that Arizona's going to ask you for at least 2 first-round picks in
Who
order to
knows?
get.
It's Woody Johnson. He's probably looking at Madden ratings, just like Kyler Murray with Call of Duty.
So yeah,
I got, I real quick. I got 4 destinations real quick.
go.
I got the Raiders.
Oh,
I got
Lord.
the Jets. I got the. I mean, you have to.
No,
Yeah.
not that BRF, but the market. You said
Yeah.
yourself, champ. If you can't concentrate in Arizona, and what makes you think you're going to concentrate in Atlanta and of all places, Vegas?
Yeah, but you're right. But at the same time, I'm looking at teams that I know would call about his services. So I'm looking at Raiders. I'm looking at Jets. I'm looking at definitely looking at. I'm looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers and champ. Get ready for this one.
Yeah.
The New Orleans Saints should call about him.
Oh yeah, because they ain't got a damn thing down there right now. Because Tyler
The new
Sheep, Spencer Rattler,
Are you BRF? Are you saying that because of Kellen Moore?
Yeah, that's part of it. That's part of it. Having a little bit of a familiarity with that style of offense, which Kyler does. So I think if I'm the New Orleans Saints, I mean, you're probably you're gonna be high. You're gonna have a high enough draft pick where maybe you should go after a quarterback. But if you really don't want to go that route, if you want to trade back and get picks instead of going for a quarterback, why not give the Arizona Cardinals a call about Kyler Murray?
Where do you want Kyler? Cleveland?
they'd be foolish to do that right now because the thing is, look, I'm gonna just be real. If you couldn't handle the personality of a Baker Mayfield, which is not a bad personality, by the way, how are you gonna handle the entitlement and the wherewithal of a Kyler Murray? And
I
his
understand
lack of
that, champ, but here's the thing. Here's the thing, champ. Either Dylan Gabriel or Shador Sanders, to which Cleveland, Kevin Stefanski is not really sold on. And if I'm Shador Sanders, I try to do everything I can just to get up out of here and go to a place where I can go. Minnesota, the Rams you mentioned, the
yeah,
49ers.
Yeah, Shadur Sanders definitely needs to go to a franchise with stability and structure. And Minnesota with Kevin O'Connell, San Francisco with Kyle Shanahan.
Los
If
Angeles,
just
Los
Los
Angeles.
Angeles, the Rams with Sean McVay. He needs to go. So Shadur, Kevin, and the thing is, Kevin Stefanski is a good coach, but this still doesn't feel like the right stability and structure there. So I think those three off the bat will definitely be a good place for Shadur Sanders to go and actually get real coaching because I feel like Kevin Stefanski is not going to play Shadur Sanders there. So go to
And we
go
talk
to a
about
place with
owners.
somebody that's
Let's
going to
not
give you an
forget
opportunity.
owner. Let's not forget Jimmy Haslam.
Mm.
And if you look at last week's game, you know whose jersey that Jimmy Haslam's kids had on, don't you? They
What,
had Shador
Deshaun
Sanders.
Watson?
They had
They have his jersey on.
they had Shador Sanders' jersey on.
Oh, thank God. I
Yeah,
thought it was Deshaun Watson jersey
I
they were
would,
wearing.
I wouldn't buy his jersey with Iraq money.
Well, that's like you trying to vote for Stephen A. Smith. Your ass ain't gonna vote for him.
Not in a million years. But on that note, man.
Blasphemous.
On
Blasphemous.
that note, man. Let's wrap this thing up, man. Look, anything else y'all got to say to the people out there, man? Any last words?
Sports PSP podcast. New episode of Friday nights, the highlight of Friday nights. About to release the new video regarding New York Jets. Hopefully, we'll try to do a favorite Migos track that I'm trying to release and MVP moment on the Sports PSP pod. Always a pleasure being on the pod, champ. Keep doing your thing, as well as you, BRF. Keep doing your thing.
Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, hey, I love the idea when you came to me and Flash about doing a surprise show. Talking about the trade deadline and how crazy it was today. I thought it was a tremendous idea. Shout out to the homie Flash. We hated he couldn't be here tonight, but at the end of the day, he would have wanted us to keep it going, and that's exactly what we did. So shout out to homie Flash. He's a girl dad just like myself. So it's all so yeah. We respect people that got them priorities in order first and foremost. So
Exactly.
shout out to Flash. He's gonna continue to ride with us, and we're gonna continue to do our thing on the Undisputed Goat Sports Podcast. Shout out to PSP, always coming through like real brothers do in situations like this. Got nothing but love for you, brother. And for a little over an hour. This is stuff I like to see. This is what helps podcasts grow. This is what helped men like us grow to be what we ultimately want to become. A topic not thought about is a topic not talked about. Y'all follow me, y'all follow PSP, y'all follow Undisputed World Champ, and you follow Flash 22. We're gonna continue to put our thing down. So
Yes.
shout out to everybody. We love each and every one of y'all. We're gonna keep the heat coming.
And happy
Yes.
belated birthday to the great JoJo.
Oh, happy belated
Tag
birthday,
you.
JoJo.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes, indeed.
Absolutely, happy birthday to JoJo.
Yes,
Absolutely, yeah. Because I wished her happy birthday in the live chat. So maybe she'll see this. But yeah, we definitely wishing her a happy belated birthday. Keep doing your thing, Miss Lady.
yes, indeed. But on that note, man, we will see y'all Sunday. And make damn sure y'all go check out Sports PSP's new episode that just came out, Unjustifiable. And what was the other episode? Sports PSP.
The new episode is about to come out the one on Arizona stunning Dallas, that's last night that I released, and the
Yeah.
new one is about to start at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The New York Jets are cleaning up their mess. Basically, my thoughts on the trades with Sauce Gardner and Quinn Williams, and who won the trades, and what will the New York Jets do with those picks.
Yes, indeed. Make sure all of y'all that are tuning in right now, go check out the Sports PSP podcast and those two new episodes. If I know the New Jersey genius like I know him, those damn things were and are on fire. And I checked out the Unjustifiable episode. Man, hell of a job. I loved it. On
Thank
that
you.
note, people, we will see y'all on Friday on the Sports PSP podcast, and we will be back here on Sunday on the Undisputed Goat Podcast. And this time, we will be bringing back the Flash. So holla at y'all. God loves you. So do we.
Peace.